Hey guys, what's going on? Hopefully we don't have many technical difficulties. This is being my first time with a live stream, and well, by myself. I just did first live stream with CP the Tool Addict on Friday. So let's see what we can get going. Hopefully I don't get too bombarded with questions. I know we recently hit 70,000 subscribers, so I doubt everyone's going to show up to the live stream, but I'm pretty sure a good many people will jump in here. Hopefully this is something we can start to do, maybe not weekly, but monthly, something like that, just to interact with you guys a little bit more than through comments, the community post, and through Instagram. So what are we going to talk about first? Let me scroll through here and try to add some moderators, because I know I don't have any right now, just in case we get some trolls and spam going on in the comment section. But let's look back through the chat. I know some of you guys were talking while I was getting set up, and monitored all that. So let's see. There was something about a Baja control arm I saw earlier. A Simple 13, after cursing at my Baja all weekend. Let's highlight that, actually. Sorry, guys, I got like 3 screens up right now, so I'm trying to get this going. Sorry if I'm not looking at the camera. I've got 2 screens. All right, after cursing at Baja all weekend, I came to watch the Q&A. Larry asked about mileage. Just turned over 159,000 going up to my sister's. Had a wobble. Lifted the tire up, bad wheel bearing. It may not be a sealed wheel bearing assembly. Good question. On a Baja, it will be the same suspension and drivetrain as the 2000 to 2004 BH chassis Outback. It was not a sealed wheel bearing. Technically, it was the press-in cartridge bearing that I've done videos on in the past. Have to order a new steering knuckle. I broke the ball joint bolt. Ooh, I did this last year on the driver's side. Luckily, I haven't run across this too much, being that I don't work with a ton of rusted cars. But you can drill those out, line drill them larger, and put a larger bolt in there. Grade 8, grade 10, washer and nut on the back, and you should be good. I ran that on my personal Outback for about 2 years before I found a steering knuckle in the pull apart. I did not want to spend the money on buying a new one for my $500 Outback. And if the bushings are bad, the control arm is just buy a whole control arm with the ball joint. Well, the ball joint doesn't come with the control arm, Larry. It's separate. And being the ball joint goes into the steering knuckle, that's the issue with that. 140 for a control arm. That's about what the normal cost is. But with that chassis, you don't get the large rear control arm bushing with that. It's a separate piece. It doesn't come, but the front smaller control arm bushing will be pressed in on that. Sorry guys, I'm behind on the chat, so let me get scrolled up. I know I think there's a little bit of a lag latency on this stream, and I see we got about 88 viewers right now and 19 likes. So let's try to hit the like button, guys, and see if we can get some more people in the stream. Let's see. We got some hellos from people. API Cars, this man is why I became a Subaru mechanic. Glad to be some inspiration for you. Hopefully you're not regretting that life choice. Hopefully it's going well for you. Let's see. Larry, I don't know if I'd go that far saying I technically know more than Subaru. I'm just smarter than the average bear when it comes to Subarus, I reckon. He does more than dealership is willing to. Well, most dealerships are pretty bare bones minimum. Hello, Jeffrey Smith. What's up, Zach? Who else we got in here? Jeff, how you doing? From New Jersey. We live. Andre, sorry. Loud and clear. Brian Skinner. Where are you at in the chat? Let's see. Oh, y'all are really flying past me. I need to get caught up here. Let's see. Let's get down some longer comments. See if we can find some questions to talk about. Let's see. Differential change out on 2015 Impreza. Is it easy to do? Are we talking about front differential or rear differential there, Jeff? Rear differential is pretty much the same as all other Subarus. The video I've covered in the past. Basically, take the 4 nut and bolt, 12 millimeters at the flange between the prop shaft and the input for the rear differential loose. Whichever differential you have, it'll likely be 2 nuts with studs going through the rear of the cross member. You'll likely have a support in the front with 2 bolts. Pop the rear axles out and drop it down. Pretty straightforward and simple. With the front differential, it is technically part of the transmission, but it can be separated out. Normally, you don't replace the differential separate of the transmission. Normally replace it as an assembly. So a little bit more involved. It would be just the same as a regular transmission replacement on the Subaru. Let's see, what muffler do I get for my 2000 Forester to get the iconic Subaru sound? The iconic Subaru sound doesn't technically come from the muffler. It is due to the Boxer engine design, more specifically due to the fact that the exhaust manifold length, the runner length, is unequal. On the turbocharged engines, the fact that the turbo sits on the passenger side of the car, well, US spec, the runner from the cylinder head is far shorter than the one coming from the driver's side that crosses over the front of the engine. And when they meet to go to the up pipe, that imbalance in the firing of the cylinders and the short runners compared to the long runners on the driver's side, that's what gives that the iconic Boxer rumble is more from that. So if you have a naturally aspirated Subaru, you can get the Boxer rumble. Depending on what manifold you run, the exhaust manifold has more to do with it than the actual exhaust itself. Some of the early model non-naturally aspirated cars had a equal length exhaust manifold, so you don't really get the Boxer rumble. If you cut the exhaust off on those, they sound like a Honda or any other 4-cylinder engine. Some of the, I believe the EJ22Es with the dual port heads, there's another issue if you have a single port or dual port head. But it's really getting that unequal length manifold. If you have a naturally aspirated 2.5, 2.2 with a split port head, the 2.5 RS Impreza from the late 90s, early 2000s, that exhaust manifold, if you get a header exhaust manifold for that, it should bolt up to the factory system and give you that unequal length Boxer rumble. Ever think about working on commercial vehicles? Try not to. I'm not good with diesel stuff other than what I picked up on my own Duramax, what I picked up on working on the Cummins that were in my Snap-on trucks, and working on my international farm-all tractors on the farm. Other than that, I have no formal diesel training. It's just picking up as I go. And commercial vehicles, that's a lot bigger, a lot more heavy components, a lot more danger. I like sticking with the smaller stuff. I like having a Subaru short block that's 85 pounds and I can pick up and move around if I need to, compared to just trying to rotate or move wheels on a commercial vehicle, dump truck, bus, whatever, that's weighs more than I do. And if it blows up, just inflating it could kill me. So I try to stay away from the bigger stuff. Let's see. Why do my wheel bearings fail every 6 months or so? Always passenger rear 2008 Forester. Are you using Subaru OE bearings? Or are you using some cheap Chinese components? Are you buying Amazon part store? You know, it depends on what wheel bearing specifically you're using. Normally with the OE stuff, it normally lasts a good long while. On an 08, it's probably, I think that's still a press-in bearing. So it depends on how it's being pressed in, who's pressing it in. If you don't do them right, if you don't set them up right, if you don't put the new seals on them, you will get grit and mud and rainwater and all that in there, and it will easily flush out the grease and ruin the bearing pretty quickly. That might be the issue you're having there. So do change the outer seal, the inner seal, and you know, just be careful when pressing that all together that nothing gets out of alignment. Let's see. Hello, Mr. Subaru. What do you think on the recall for the FA20 for weak engine valve springs? Subaru's had a lot of recalls lately. I would rather them recall it than let it become an issue like we had back in the 90s, 2000s with the head gasket issues. So Subaru's being very good with picking up on issues and recalling them. The fuel pump issue, the catalytic converter issue, the Forester rear spring recalls. There's a lot. The airbag harness for the Impreza, Forester, and Crosstrack, if I remember right. So there's a lot of recalls open right now. There's a ton of warranty labor and recall labor that's aggravating the crap out of technicians in the dealerships. Of course, me not knowing firsthand, but me talking to dealer techs and being part of Facebook groups and stuff for Subaru dealer techs. You know, I see all the stuff that they're going through with the newer vehicles, and you know, I'd rather, like I said, I'd rather Subaru to locate, pinpoint the issue and address it rather than not address it and let it go on and, you know, their quality slip and things like that happen. Real quick, we've got a super chat, Irish Manic Hispanic for $5. Thank you very much, sir. Can you explain how the fast idle, slow idle works? I live in, let's see, wonder how, let's see. So I assume you're talking about when you first start the car and it idles up to about 2,000 RPM, especially on the newer drive-by-wire cars, specifically like my Crosstrack, my brother's Outback, the 2010 and newers that don't have a temperature gauge. You get that blue temperature light. I advise people not to drive the car with the blue temperature light on. I would rather it warm up before you start moving, especially when it's cold. You risk not so much damaging the car as it's not good for it to start driving on it until you know, things are starting to warm up. Things are getting to temperature. The oil is warming up. The coolant's starting to warm up. It's not great to drive them stone cold right at startup. But it's pretty simple system. The PCM monitors all the sensor input, looks at the engine coolant temperature sensor. I don't know the exact target engine coolant temp that it looks for before it reduces the high idle back to a normal idle and turns that blue light off on the new ones. There was no blue light, of course, on the older models. You know, that's basically it. It's just looking for a set temperature to be reached before it turns down the idle. It also idles up high because your emissions are worse at cold startup, as well as your oxygen sensors are not reading as well at cold startup. So back in the late 80s or so, when fuel injection was still pretty new, OBD1 was still around, well, not even OBD1 kind of manufacturer stuff. Oxygen sensors used to be one-wire sensor. They had no heater in them, and it took a good long while to get enough heat into those sensors to get them working. They've got to get hot to work. So when OBD2 came out, and a little bit before OBD2, they started putting heaters in them. So on modern oxygen sensors, you got a four-wire sensor. One's a power and a ground through to the heating element to get it up to temperature quicker so it reads faster, and the other is your signal. So that's another part of why it high idles, is to get the exhaust manifold warmed up. Is to warm up the oxygen sensors so they can wake up and start adjusting the fuel trims and things of that nature. So it's just better to get them warmed up. I know a lot of people think, well, you shouldn't rev up a cold engine like that, but it's not to the extent high RPM where it's going to damage anything. It's just enough to get everything moving up to temperature quickly, get the oxygen sensors warmed up and active and working. That's basically all it is. Plus the cats don't really work until you get some heat in them, so it's getting heat in the cats as well. So a lot of it to do with emission stuff, and some of it due to, well, probably most of it's due to emissions. But thank you again for the $5 super chat. Greatly appreciate that. Let's see what we got here. I'm way behind in the chat, guys. Sorry, I'm going to try to get caught up. Getting bombarded with questions here. See, we've got, you have any experience with the 5EAT on hard shifting? I know there is a relearn process that can be done. It's the 05 Legacy GT, EJ 255. I don't have as much hands-on experience with the 5EAT as I do as the 4EAT. With that, I would ask, you know, when was your last transmission fluid change? You know, has it been serviced? What's the history on the car? Do you have any codes? Is there anything going on in the TCM with maybe a shift solenoid, things of that nature? So it's kind of a wide open thing to start with. I've had many people ask me about 5EATs with harsh shifting or harsh upshift from one gear to another specifically. It seems to be more of an issue on the 5EAT than the 4EAT. But again, you know, there's a lot of variables that tie in there, so it's hard to give it a definitive answer just over, you know, live stream without seeing the car. Jeff, thank you for the $5 super chat. Let's see, 2011 AM hard start. Does the cam shim kit work? Let's see what your super chat said. 2011 Forester AM hard start. Does the Bank One can sensor shim kit work for this that TSB Subaru put out? I am not familiar with the TSB for that. Are you getting a cam sensor correlation code, or what are you getting there? Do you happen to know what the trouble code is on that? Hopefully I can get a response from you, Jeff, to get a little more information to answer that question. But right now we'll move on a little bit. Zach, what is your opinion on 2013 Crosstrack Premium CVT? Well, I own a 2013 Crosstrack limited CVT, and it's been great. 210,000 miles, as most of you know. Original CVT hasn't failed, hasn't been replaced. The only thing that happened was 171,000 miles. The valve body was replaced due to a failed solenoid, which is pretty common. As you saw, I did a valve body replacement on a TR690 in an Outback. Same issue, failed solenoid. Really wish Subaru would sell the solenoids individually instead of making you buy a full valve body, but that's the way they're going. And as far as the engine, it's the original engine. I'm not seeing much oil consumption. I've not driven enough yet to plot what the consumption is, but I'm not having to add oil yet. Original engine, as I said, short block, long block. The only thing that's been done is the valve spring recall. That was the only engine out service. But other than that, it's been great. I was just driving it yesterday, and no complaints. Knock on wood that nothing comes up wrong with it. What do you think about the fuel pump recall and lawsuit? I didn't know about the lawsuit. I know about the recall where I think they're on a second round of recalls with the fuel pumps. I think that the first fix did not work, or what had an issue. I think at first they were replacing the fuel pump by itself. Now they're replacing the fuel pump and the harness, or there was an issue with the replacement harness. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but they're having a second round of the fuel pumps. Kind of like with the Takata airbag recall, where they did all the recalls, and then Takata said, well, the fixed one isn't really fixed, and they had to go through and do all the airbag recalls, or not all of them, but there were some that had to be redone, I know. High mileage. I'm swapping the 05 Legacy GT 2.5 to EJ20. I'm stuck. Don't know how to solve the cam position sensor swap. What EJ20 are you using? Are you using an ABCS engine? Because your 2005 would not be not ABCS, ABLS. What is active valve lift system? ABLS head. I don't think that started, if I remember right, to 2006. So high mileage, going to need some more information on that one. Guys, I'm sorry. I know I'm way behind. I'm trying to get caught up here. Hello, Trevor. Let's see. Jay Fatty. Pulling my engine. Need to replace my trans. Going to do timing belt, etc. Need my car ASAP. Am I okay to put it back together without doing head gaskets? Of course, you're good to go back together without head gaskets. 2003 WRX. The head gaskets really weren't an issue on the EJ205, as I've stated before, because the turbo engines use the MLS gaskets, not the failure-prone single-layer graphite-coated gaskets that were found in the naturally aspirated dual overhead cam and singular overhead cam 2.5. That was the main issue, was the breakdown of that graphite coating, which made them fail. WRX normally doesn't have an issue unless they're highly abused or neglected or had the boost jacked up, to lift the head or anything like that. They normally don't have head gasket issues as a rule. Like, it's not a ingrained failure. It's more of a abuse, neglect, lack of maintenance kind of failure when they do have issues. I was about to drill it out. Wasn't able to pop the ball joint out. Yeah, a lot of times they get rusted in there really bad. Astro Pneumatic has a Subaru ball joint puller tool. Subaru, Snap-on has one as well. I'm not sure if it's made in-house or if it's a rebrand. And there's another company, I think OTC makes one. It's pretty simple. You can actually make one yourself, but it's basically a pipe that goes over and sits flush just outside of the ball joint onto the spindle. There's a pusher rod that goes in, threads onto the end of the threads of the ball joint, and there's a jam nut. You turn the jam nut, and it will pull the ball joint out. Works really well. I think the Astro one's like $30 on Amazon. Not sure off the top of my head. I know the Snap-on one's like close to $100. I don't have either. I'm probably going to invest in one soon. Like I said, I don't deal with the rusty ball joints a lot, but it would be great to have one just in case I need one. Let's see, where are we at? Should I lower my Crosstrack since everyone hates people who do that? I would advise to no. If you want to lower Crosstrack, buy an Impreza, but it's your car. You can do what you want to with it. I have no say-so. It's your money. It's your vehicle. So the choice is yours. David, we'll have one question. My 2009 Outback has started stumbling once I put it in gear, not throwing codes. And once I get going, it runs okay. My first thought is check the throttle body. Yes, I would check the throttle body first. Make sure you don't have any carbon deposits on it. It probably needs a thorough cleaning at this point if it's not been cleaned in the past, and would do the idle relearn and go from there. The fact that it is stumbling once you put it in gear with your foot on the brake being automatic means that, you know, it's most likely the fact that it's being put under a load from the torque converter and the drivetrain, that likely the throttle body would be the first, cheapest, easiest thing to check, especially since you have no codes to go on and no other information. If you know, it's been a while since you've done a tune-up, replace the spark plugs, things of that nature, you know, check that stuff, check your air filter, you know, anything preliminary like that that's easy to do. Real quick, Irish Manic Hispanic again with another $5. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Had my manual transmission changed at Valvoline last year. Now they say Subaru requires this service to be done at dealership. What's the story? 2008 Impreza. You had your manual transmission changed. I'm assuming you changed the manual transmission gear oil is what you were saying there. Had my manual transmission changed at Valvoline. So I'm assuming you mean the gear oil in the manual transmission. Now they say Subaru requires this service to be done at the dealership. I've never heard of speculation, something about that. I know Subaru wants to, if your Subaru dealership on the CVT, for a CVT fluid change, they prefer they do it than someone else does it, because there's been so many issues with people draining their CVT instead of, you know, when they change their oil, or not having the tools to correctly pump it back in, the scan tool to monitor the temperature, things of that nature. But I haven't heard anything about Subaru wanting you to bring a manual transmission in. That would be a 5MT on a 2008. So there's no special procedure. It's just a drain plug and I think 3.5 quarts of gear oil through the dipstick tube. So nothing like super crazy there. Thank you very much for the $10 super chat. What's that? Replicat? Cax? Hopefully I'm saying that right. Grabbed a model year 2020 STI. Getting a little out of my head here. I'm trying to read. Owned 3 prior WRXs with no issues. Never had oil issues on my EJ255s. Do you feel an AOS air oil separator is needed for the EJ257? Not, I wouldn't say that it is needed requirement. It's more of a requirement on the direct fuel injected engines. But I do see plenty of people run air oil separators on the EJ257. Anything that's turbocharged, you know, you're gonna have to worry of more of the crankcase pressure and oil vapor and things getting into the intercooler, getting in the turbocharger, things of that nature. So to keep the intake track clean, yes, an AOS is a good investment to help cut down on that and help cut down on junk in your intercooler and your intake track, but it's not needed. I see plenty of higher mileage STIs. We did that video, I think, in the wintertime. It was a 2005 STI, and I think it had like 180, 190,000 miles on it, and it was pretty much bone stock, no AOS. And, you know, it wasn't in terrible shape. The intake valves were relatively clean. The good thing about having port injection, that solvent gasoline is always sprayed constantly on the intake valves, cleaning them. That's why we have carbon issues with the direct injection engines, because there's no gasoline spraying on the valves. It's only spraying directly in the combustion chamber, so you're not getting that nice solvent gasoline cleaning your valves constantly. Jeff W., thank you for the $5 super chat. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get caught up with the questions, but of course, super chatters do take precedence. Really appreciate that. My head unit, sorry, I got stuff in the way. My radio head unit 2015 Impreza is stuck. I cannot use touchscreen. Any way to reset the unit? Looking like it is a common problem. I can't recall on the 2015, but I know the Starlink head unit. I'm assuming this is early Starlink head unit. If I remember right, it was hold down the power button for like 10 or 20 seconds, and it would reboot the head unit if it got stuck or black screened. I can't remember if that is part of, if that's in the 2015, if there's another procedure for that. Real quick, let's, since you super chatted, let's see if we can get to the factory service manual. Let's try to do some, God, that's right. Now let's try to do some split screen and see if we can find that answer for you real quick. 2015 service manual. Let's see. Mechanical speed control, lubrication. Let's shift me over out of the way. It's not working. Oh. There we go. Okay, let's see. Engine mechanical, cooling system, engine diagnostics, transmission, CVT, chassis section, front suspension, rear suspension, wheel, tire pressure, differentials, brakes, parking brake, power assist, HVAC, airbag, HVAC, airbag, seatbelt lighting, auto headlights, wiper washer entertainment system. Here we go. Navigation system, audio system, navigation system. On the head unit, let's see. Where is the restart? GPS unit, GPS antenna, rear camera. Check for bad sensor, parking brake. Check illumination. Check each signal sound, main power off, press and hold, camera settings to get into connectivity check. Check each connection. Let's see here. With the main power off, press and hold the buttons C, which is the little button here beside your SD card, for 3 seconds or more while pressing the buttons A and B simultaneously, pressing the button A for 3 seconds or more, or turning the ignition from accessory to the on position can exit the diagnostic mode. Line diagnostic screen is displayed. So that is how you get into the connectivity diagnostic check. You might want to try that, see if you can get into that screen by holding down that button and turning on the ignition key, and see if you can go through and reboot it that way. But yeah, I've not personally messed with one of those. I did have to reboot the head unit in my 2019, but that was the second or third gen Starlink head unit. Glad to be here. My 2005 Forester almost doesn't move when just started up. I have to allow it to reach operating temperature before it accelerates normally. What do you think? The check engine light code is a P0134. I'm assuming you're saying that the transmission is slipping until you let it warm up and not wanting to pull away? Or are you saying that the engine is bogging and has no power until it warms up? If the engine's bogging and has no power until it warms up, that would maybe sound like you have an issue mechanically with lower compression. Once the engine's getting up the temperature, it's shrunken rings or something, it's sealing back up more, giving added compression. If it's the transmission, I would say that the transmission, the seals and gaskets, like the video I did on the delayed forward engagement. It could be that the transmission is ready for an overhaul, and once it gets up to temperature, those internal seals are swelling up and sealing enough where the transmission will engage. That PO on 134 would be an oxygen sensor code. Oxygen sensor circuit, no activity detected, bank 1 sensor 1. That wouldn't have anything to do with that, I don't think. Let's see, bank 1 sensor 1, that would be for AF fuel trims. So it might have, if it's not getting anything at all, you need to scan the car, check fuel trims on live data, see if it's like way out of whack. It should default to set parameter to halfway run the engine. So I would investigate that. Check transmission fluid, see if your transmission fluid's low, see if it's burnt, anything like that, and go from there. API cars for the transmission relearn, at least on the CVT, you need SSM3 or SSM4 at the dealership. That is correct. I believe the Snap-on scanners on their newest update will receive the ability to do the CVT relearn. I know that some Altel and Launch scanners have that capability. I don't have those scanners, so I can't confirm. But the best route to go with it is using the Subaru factory Subaru Select Monitor scan tool to do it. Again, guys, I know I'm way behind on chats, trying to get caught up, but it takes a little time to explain each answer as I go through. So let's see, we've got a 1745 EJ255 engine, Outback XT cylinder down to 30 psi. So you suggested replace short block. Wondering pros and cons of buying a new short block versus keeping mine. Just want it back on the road without misfires. So the reason I suggested to get a Subaru Reman EJ255 short block is because you will get a warranty for years and mileage on it. And if anything comes up with that short block, if you have an issue with the rings, issue with the piston, issue with anything in the bottom end, Subaru will warranty it. They'll take care of it. If you buy a Reman, somewhere else, or get a junkyard engine, you pretty much usually get a 30-day warranty. So depending on what kind of money you're wanting to invest in the car, depends on which way to go with it. Personally, I would buy the Subaru short block. That's me. You'd have, I think, an EJ255 short block. I think right now, I think my cost is like $1,800 on them. I think the list is like $2,200 or $2,300. $300 for a full engine seal kit. About $500 probably, varying depending on your location, to have the heads fully rebuilt, remachined, decked, pressure tested, valve job, valve guides, all that good stuff. So you'd be looking at what, close to $3,000 to have a brand spanking new engine when you're done and good to go. You could go cheaper with a junkyard engine, but EJ255 junkyard engine from LKQ, they're still pretty high. So maybe half of that, $1,400, $1,500, and you don't know what you're getting. You could have it for a month and be in the same boat with low compression on the cylinder. It's up to you. It's your decision. Where you're at, how much money you want to put into it, how many miles are on it. Is it worth it to keep it, or is it worth it to fix it cheaper or to make it nicer and newer, depending on how long you're going to plan on keeping it. J Fatty, if it's out, do them with the best of time too. On the WRX with head gaskets. Hello, Mr. Subaru. Do you recommend any oil additives for light leaking central differential? Thanks. Where are we leaking from? Are we leaking from a tail housing from the center differential, or are you talking about the front differential, like axle seal leaking? I'm not a fan of any kind of stop leak. Most of them are snake oils. Usually all they are is an additive that will swell rubber. That's normally all they do. So like if you have a leaking axle seal, it will get there and try to swell the axle seal's rubber or Viton, to get it to seal up. That's basically all they do, is they swell rubber and rubber gaskets, rubber seals, stuff of that nature. So if it's the tail housing leaking, that's not going to do a thing for you, because the tail housing is sealed with 3-bond or RTV silicone. So it doesn't have an effect on that. So I normally am to the school fix it correctly and not worry about it, as don't waste your money on snake oils, stop leaks, you know, things that normally don't work anyway. Ooh, everything just jumped. Lost my spot. Where was that? Shoot. Dang it. Sorry, guys. I got my whole chat thing refreshed, and now I think I've lost like a bunch of you guys' questions. Why didn't Subaru put temp gauge on the 2011 Outback? I do not know. I assume it was for cost savings. I hate that the 2010 and newers don't have them. Well, no, I think they added it back in 2015. I think the Outback I think it was just 2010 to 2014 that didn't have them. My 2013 Crosstrack doesn't have one. I can't remember if Impreza Crosstrack got one in the newer body, but yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I can only assume that it's due to cost savings. I have no answer from Subaru as to why they did it. The blue coolant light goes off at 1:30. Thank you, Aaron, for that. 2015 WRX had short block replaced due to oil consumption back in January, but oil consumption is still the same. Have you heard this? I have seen people that have had to have the short block replaced multiple times for oil consumption. I would ask what oil you are running in the car. Had a video on the oil consumption before, and I'm not exactly sure what the deal is with this, but I've heard from dealer techs in the past that they have had people that had oil consumption issues running bulk oil, and when they switched to the Subaru branded Edometsu oil, the oil consumption slowed dramatically or stopped completely. So I don't know if there's some special formulation or special additive in the Edometsu oil that reacts to the type of material that the piston rings are made of or something. I don't know if it's just coincidence, but I have heard people say they have solved oil consumption by switching and using Edometsu oil rather than Mobil 1 or any other bulk generic motor oil, engine oil. So not sure. I'm assuming they had some kind of warranty on it, depending on how long ago it was they replaced it. So I'd probably bring that to their attention immediately, see what they're willing to do on that. Let's see. Excuse me. Jeff, I had the same problem in my 2014 Subaru Forester radio head unit. It will correct itself. I would assume that disconnecting the battery and doing a hard restart like that, disconnect the battery power for 30 minutes to an hour would reboot it. On reconnecting the battery, you might want to try that as well. Are you still collecting Subarus? I am still purchasing Subarus. I haven't bought one in quite a while, basically due to what 2020 has become. I haven't really purchased any since the beginning of the year. I did see a Brat earlier on Facebook Marketplace. It did have quite a bit of rust, as they all seem to. I can't find a really good one that's not super expensive, but you know, I still want a Brat. That's one on the list I don't have yet. Use a live scanner to watch the temps, but it was to keep the cluster simple. Really quickly, let's check the super chats. We've got quadruple A 1745, $5. Thank you, sir. And just thanks. You are welcome. And thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. Let's see. We got another super chat for $2. Love your content. Thank you, Mechanic Gaio. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. You know, I'm a Southern hick, and the English language is not my is not always my strong point. So thank you for that $2. I really do appreciate that. Let's see. Jeff, reprogram at dealer for condition. I'm assuming on the head unit, I think there was. I know that with the Harman Kardon system with the black screens on the Outbacks Legacies, there was a recall on that. They were replacing the head units. I don't know. Hopefully, Subaru Enduro, if I remember right, you are a Subaru tech, so you should know this. But I guess there is a reprogram at the dealer for that head unit. I guess you're responding to that question. Is there a charge for that, or is that just like a we goofed and we're going to fix it now, or is it an update for the head unit, firmware update? Hi, Jigsaw. How you doing tonight? JP, is there a way to loosen and torque the crank pulley bolt without the specialty tool. To take it loose, there is the semi-dangerous method I showed in one of my early time belt videos of putting a breaker bar and the socket against the frame rail and bumping the starter very quickly, and it'll break it loose, take it out. As far as torquing it, it is a little bit easier with a manual transmission. You can pull well, it's about the same with an automatic or a manual. You can pull the plug out there at the back of the block, which looking from the front of the car into the engine bay, it will be to the left of the throttle body. There's a little black plug. You pull that out. That's to access your bolts for the flex plate to the torque converter on automatic transmissions, but it's a quote-unquote inspection window for manual transmission cars. But in the past, I have taken a pry bar and lightly put it between in the holes for the flex plate and turned the engine enough where the pry bar locked against the engine block and into the flex plate to torque them. Not the greatest way to do it. The flex plate is pretty thin, so you could crack the flex plate. You could, cause an issue. With the manual transmissions, again, you can take a pry bar and kind of key it into the teeth on the ring gear and jam it against the block. Again, not the greatest thing. You can chip a tooth off the ring gear, cause some issues. For the price of the Subaru crank pulley holder tool, not specifically the Company 23 version, which is the one I have and the one I recommend people get because it's basically their design, but you can find them on eBay and Amazon for $20-30 as a cheap Chinese duplicate. I would rather, people to spend the money with Company 23 as it's their tool that was ripped off, but it's your money. At the end of the day, if you find the tool for cheaper, I can't tell you not to buy it. So, it's better to have the tool as the takeaway from all that. John Barry, why do STIs blow Conrod bearings? There's several different reasons why we have issues with the bearings in the lower end of the EJ257. A lot of it comes down to owner neglect and abuse, as I've talked about before. There is issue with not so much on the EJ257 as the EJ255 with the filters, the little filters in the turbo oil feed and the AVCS oil feed. That's not really an issue on the 257 to cause that issue. But a lot of it is, like I said, is people running the crap out of the cars, not checking their oil, running them low on oil. Some of it is due to just a bad, a defect. Some of it is a defect. I mean, there's plenty of other owners that have, cared for the car, never driven it hard, etc., and they do have, a spun rod bearing. So, like anything, it just comes down to who was putting the engine together that day. As far as I recall, the EJ257 is still pretty much a hands-on, hand-built engine. I don't think they're fully automated like they're not fully automated, but the F-Series engines are very automated. So I don't think I don't think I would say it was a factory defect in materials. I think it's more of you just see it more because the STI is the high horsepower one that people just, buy to beat on and drive fast because, it's the fast version. Why are service departments trying to deny warranty with repairs within warranty? Dealerships are slimy. Some are good, some are bad. Some have really crappy service writers. Some have really crappy managers. It's like anything in life, but yeah, it's normally just people trying to wiggle out of stuff. So not too much of a response for that. Sorry. Jonathan N, $5. Thank you, sir. We got a 19 Forester. CVT is quote unquote normal jerky, 15 to 20 mile an hour. Much worse when AC is on. Is this normal for Subaru CVT? Would a transmission relearn help? I don't have a normal jerkiness in the TR580 that's in my 2013 Crosstrack. Any kind of bucking or jerkiness would not technically be ruled as anything normal. How many miles have you got on the car? What kind of driving do you do? Is it city, mostly highway? The car does pick up on your driving habits to a degree, so a relearn probably would help reset the parameters if it is something that's a learned If it's something that the TCM learned, picked up from your driving habits and adjusted, it could have caused it to get into this jerky, low speed deal. So maybe since it's 2019, you're under warranty, bring it up with your Subaru dealership and get on there, you know what, to get it right, because it should be right and you shouldn't be having issues with a brand new Forester. See, Subaru Enduro, no, the shim kit does not work. I can't remember who asked that earlier, but there is your answer straight from the man himself. Hey, I recently bought a 2001 Legacy GTB Blitzen Edition. Wow, that's a pretty big unicorn. What inner tie rods are interchangeable? Having trouble finding info anywhere. I can find a owner's manual for it. If you go to jdmfsm.info/auto/Japan/Subaru, you should be able to find an owner's manual for that chassis code, Legacy Outback, not specifically a GTB and not a Blitzen. I think there was an actual add-on, I think, for the Blitzen, but I have no clue because it was a Japanese market vehicle and we never saw them in the U.S. Inner tie rods on those, unless they did some trick stuff with the steering, it should be the same for any 2000 to 2004 Legacy Outback in the U.S. I know that the model years are different on Japanese and European vehicles. I think that chassis actually started in 98 or 99 overseas, and I think it ended in 2003. So anywhere in the BH, BE chassis line, it should be the same inner tie rods. And it might be more so than that because Subaru is good about reusing a lot of the same parts over multiple generations. So specifically, I would say that chassis code, Legacy and Outback, should be the exact same. Let's see. The car has no codes or anything and has been taken care of, 190,000 kilometers. It started happening right after a fluid and filter swap. I read in the manual that it can hard shift after and may need relearn. Okay, I assume that was the question on the, hard shift on the 5EAT and the Legacy GT from earlier. Sorry, guys, I'm having trouble keeping up with names and who asked what. I'm trying to do a little bit better on that. But I could only remember so much, so with so much going on between the two screens and everything else. Did you what fluid did you put in it? Did you change away from the factory fluid? How long had it been before you did the replacement? Was this the first replacement ever on the car at 190,000 kilometers? You know, there's the fact that the fluid and filter were changed, and that was when it started doing this. That is the trigger point. So there might need to be a relearn redone on it. I'm not familiar with relearns on the 5EAT like I am on the CVTs. If you change the brand viscosity of fluid, that could have something to do with it. You know, there's a lot of variables in that as well. Real quick, we've got, where were we at? Fishing the Beauty for, what was that, €5.49. Beers on me again. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that. And Neil Allen, about to do a timing belt kit on 2006 STI. What else should I consider replacing while in there? Hoses, hardware, cam, crank seals, timing cover, gaskets. I would definitely, depending on your mileage, it's good while you're in there to go ahead and do your cam and crank seals. Rarely do I ever see them start leaking at the first timing belt replacement. And there's not a whole lot of times I see them leak at the second timing belt replacement. But that's on naturally aspirated engines. So with the 257 and the STI being turbocharged, it would be a good idea to go ahead and do that. I have seen seals blow out of the cam seals and crank seals being blown out just due to age and you know, a malfunctioning PCV system that was neglected, the valve not replaced, things of that nature. So cam and crank seals definite. Check your oil pump, see if it's leaking, see if it needs to be resealed to the block. Other than that, hoses, the little hose from the water pump to the hard line that goes behind the timing cover, not a bad idea to replace that. Replace the hose from the side of the water pump to the hard line, from the hard line to the engine oil cooler. Those would be fairly cheap, a couple bucks. get them from the Subaru dealership, so they're pre-bent. Timing cover gaskets, depending. Normally, you don't have to worry about those if you don't have a bunch of fluid leaks. If you have power steering fluid, oil, etc., they're bad about swelling up really big, and then they don't want to go back on. Most of the time with those, I take a razor blade, cut small sections out of them, and piece them back down smaller, because most people don't want to pay to replace that gasket, and it's good. It's better to have a cut down old gasket in there than no gasket at all. The Dark Cutlass, thank you for the $5. Any alternator upgrade options for the 0386 Outback? Currently running a Tribeca alternator. That's a 130 amp, I think, but still needs more for stereo. I'm assuming you've got aftermarket radio, probably sub, something like that. That's pulling on it pretty hard. As far as alternator upgrades, there is a company, I cannot think off the top of my head. They make high output alternators for Subarus, mainly for people that off-road, running extra lighting, winches, accessories, but I can't remember the name of the company. They make these, they're really expensive. Last I checked, I think it was like $600-700 alternator. So it's a big investment, but God, that's bright. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Also, a grounding kit could help. Let's see. That looks like it. Can't remember the name of the company though. It's kind of a, I think it's a CNC aluminum housing. It was like electro something. What's the name of the company? And I think they were like anodized aluminum. You could get several different colors in them. Like I said, they're pretty daggum expensive. Livewire. Is that it? No. Yeah, I'm not finding it off the top of my head, but I remember in searching, because I searched myself. Maybe it's Quick Start. Quick Start high output alternators. That might have been it. Let's see. Import types. Wagon. Let's see. Where was starters? Small engine, marine. Yeah, I'm not seeing it right offhand. They've got a pretty older website, but I remember that the people that did have it was an older looking website. So yeah, if you search, you should be able to find it. I don't remember exactly what the amperage was, but there was a higher output alternator. But again, it was a fairly expensive upgrade for that car. Guys, I know I'm still way behind in the chat, trying to get caught up here. I'm about 30 minutes behind. 15 Subaru BRZ, both headlights out at the same time. I was blacking out interior. Also had corrosion on battery terminals, bulbs, fuses, relays, all good. Could my battery terminal be bad or what? You're saying both of your headlights stopped illuminating? Were both bulbs burn out at the same time? Did you check the bulbs? I know it's odd, but it could happen. Normally they're put in at the same time from the factory, so they have pretty much the same life expectancy. It's weird for them to go out at the same time. All bulbs, fuses, relays are good. So you did check the bulbs. Duh, I didn't comprehend what I read, obviously. Maybe check the. How do you know that? Did you check the headlight fuse independently, or did you just look at it and see that like what melted? Did you actually pull the headlight fuse out, and jumper the command side and ohm out the control side? How did you confirm that the relays were good would be my next question on that one. Let's see what we got. Hey, been a fan for a while. Mind talking about how it was to be a Snap-on dealer and why you stopped. I would probably reserve that for a different live stream or another video. Me and CP the Tool Addict actually were on a live stream Friday. If you go to CP the Tool Addict's YouTube channel and check that video out, it was I think 4 hours long, but the whole topic was life as a tool dealer. Me being with Snap-on off and on again for about 5 years. CP himself being a Mac dealer for 5 years. So there was a lot of talk about life on the tool truck, the stresses involved in it, things of that nature. And there was a little bit about, why I stopped and all that. Although, stupid me, like just a month ago, I was actually looking at purchasing the local Snap-on franchise here to me in town. But that's kind of gone to the wayside. I've kind of changed my mind on that. So, yeah. But and then I also thought about buying a old tool truck and making an independent tool truck, selling Japanese tools or what have you, whatever I chose to sell without having a big corporation over my head telling me what I can and can't do with my business that I quote unquote own, but don't have control over at the end of the day. Tab up for update eco. Tab for update eco. I assume that's something to do with that head unit question. Subaru Enduro, maybe? Let's see. Just bought my first Subaru in February and absolutely love it. It's a 07 Impreza with a 2010 engine. It's a EJ253. Anything to look for? Aside from the head gaskets on a 2007 Impreza, which would be a Hawkeye, they're pretty rock solid, especially if it's a 5MT rather than a 4EAT. Not that the 4EAT is a bad transmission, just normally you don't have to worry about anything with the 5MT other than the clutch. So again, head gaskets, timing belt, make sure the timing belt's been done, make sure it's not an old timing belt on it. Other than that, drive the sucker, she'll last a long time. As you saw, my buddy Brian, the red 2006, I think it was a 2006 Hawkeye that we did. It was 326,000 miles, one owner. He bought it brand new. And minimal issues, original engine, original transmission, and his is a 4EAT automatic. So again, all down to maintenance and upkeep on them for the most part. Would you recommend upgrading to Quint's twin scroll turbo? I'm going to need some more information on what the application is on that. 2018 Crosstrack having tons of troubles and incompetent service department at local dealership. How far away is another Subaru dealership from you? If you're having issues at the one you purchased from or the one most local to you, it might be worth your while to try another dealership if it's not too far out of your way. That or call Subaru of America directly. You call the Subaru of America hotline, and Subaru's hotline will basically bend over backwards and then some to make customers happy. Subaru is really on keeping customers happy right now. So try that if you're not getting anywhere with your dealership. Real quick, another super chat came in, another $5. Thank you to Zane Fry. Hope I'm saying that right. Mr. Subaru, got my first Subaru. 2008 LL Bean, 3-liter, 98,000 miles. That's pretty low mileage for an 08. The car seems to shift hard coming out of first, but no other gears. Possible issue. 2008 Bean with a 3-liter. That should be a 5EAT in that car. So again, we're seeing a couple questions today about harsh shifting and 5EATs. 98,000 miles, I would probably go ahead and service the transmission if it hasn't been serviced. That could be part of your issue. There, as we talked about earlier, there might be a relearn that needs to be done. I'm going to have to dig through the service manuals to find that relearn. I personally have not, as I said, had a lot of experience on the 5EAT as much as the older 4EAT and now the CVTs, the TR580 and TR690. So as far as a relearn on them, I'm not sure. Hopefully Subaru Enduro can pipe in here since he is a dealer tech and help us out on that with the 5EAT and possible relearn on that. With e-brake on 27 Outback, do you need a scanner to replace rear brake pads? Yes, you do. As far as I know, I've seen some posts on the Subaru Technician Forum page where people have brought their cars to other places to get their rear brakes changed, and people have taken apart the electronic calipers and screwed up their entire brake system because they didn't have a scanner to reset them. So as far as I know, you do need the scan tool to command that caliper to rewind to do the brakes on the rear, unfortunately. My 2013 Crosstrack got a new engine, LOL, oil consumption. Oof. At least, hopefully it was covered by warranty. You didn't have to pay for it. Hey, dude, nice to see you. Hello, Mario. Nice for you to be here as well. Andre, any thoughts on why I would have oil in my throttle body on a 2009 WRX? Pretty common, like we talked about before with the AOS on the turbocharged engines with the PCV system. You're going to have some oil mist, oil vapor naturally coming from the rocker covers back into the intake track and getting in the intercooler, into your throttle body, etc. You know, as long as it's not like massive amounts of oil, I wouldn't be concerned. But you know, if it's just something you need to clean off and go about your life, if you're concerned about it, add an air oil separator, and that should catch most of that oil from getting to the intake tract. Matt Henderson, I used the dancing oil filter cap trick today to check for blow by on my 2006 Outback. I was looking at how much dancing is acceptable, if any, depending on the mileage and all. The dancing cap trick is an old trick that, you know, I learned from my dad, and older guys do it. I was just doing it the other day on my buddy's Duramax. It's not a scientific check of any form or fashion, as you can tell, but it's hard to quantify how much movement from the oil cap would be acceptable or not acceptable. It's just a quick check to see if there is blow by, and not so much to see how much. So if you're getting the cap blowing square off of the filler neck, that's pretty bad. But if it's just jostling around a little bit, is semi-normal on a Subaru. It could be that the PCV valve is clogged up. It could be that there's you know, there's other issues that would cause the oil cap to dance that aren't necessarily saying that the rings are blown or you got excessive blow by. There are other factors there. It's just something quickly I do just to see, and then I inspect further from that information, if that makes sense to you. Jeff Hayes, hey, Mr. Subaru, I have a 2011 Outback. What is the best coolant to use in the radiator? Subaru Blue Super Coolant should have been what came in the car, and that's what you should run. Change it every 8 years, 80,000 miles. Subaru says 10 years, 100,000 miles, but I personally wouldn't want to have it in there that long. Just because of the Dex Cool issues of the past with GM with their 100,000 mile 10-year coolant. I know that Subaru Blue Super Coolant is not the same formulation as Dex Cool, but again, for the cost, 20,000 miles less, 2 years less, is still a long life for an 8-year, 80,000 mile service. So yeah, Subaru Blue Super Coolant, perfectly fine. That's what they put in it. That's what you should continue to run in it. There's not really any need to update or upgrade or change a engine coolant on a 2011 Outback. Ooh, that's gonna make me mad there, API cars. We got into that can of worms on me and CP's live stream, and I'll try to not get into that. But Matco is a sticker company. Matco manufactures no tools. Snap-on manufactures tools, and we'll leave it at that. Sorry, guys, my nose has been super itchy. Let's see. I got the WRX cheap as the previous owner had done an engine rebuild on the EJ205. However, they failed to properly get the valve shims, and the engine ran terribly. Would I send the heads to a shop? Yes, a machine shop should be able to do the adjustment with the shims, because doing it yourself is an aggravating pain, and I cannot stand to do shim bucket heads. I always send them off and get my machine shop to do them. So unless you've got the special tool to adjust them, or you want to unbolt and bolt the camshaft in a billion times and check, and you have the full kit with all the minute adjustment shims, I would send it off and have it done. Hello, short question. My Subaru 3-liter 2007 misfire only at starting. It's like hesitant to start. So is it misfiring when it first starts and stops when it warms up, or are you having trouble getting it to start at all while cranking? I'm going to need some more information on that. Not all the time. I'll need a little bit more information than that. Harness is staying. It's just the filter and pump. We're using the one-time use harness for the new pump. LOL. Bumble, Snap-on equals crazy high resale value. That is true, especially vintage Snap-on stuff in really great condition. It is bringing a premium right now on eBay for Snap-on collectors. Do you own the factory Subaru laptop or just use the Snappy? I have a It's not a genuine Subaru Select Monitor 3 scan tool, but I do have the software and a pass-through module on a Dell laptop. Not Dell laptop, what is it? An old Lenovo, an old brick Lenovo ThinkPad that I upgraded, put a solid-state hard drive in, upgraded the RAM on. It's something I bought years ago, and I've made it my dedicated Subaru, diagnostic laptop. So I use the Snap-on Zeus the majority of the time, but if it's something specific to Subaru, like doing a CVT relearn or something of that nature, then I will bust that out, boot that laptop up. I would buy the factory tool, but the Denso DSTI interface module is like $3,800, and Subaru's SSM3, SSM4 software is like a $2,800 a year subscription. So I'm not working on Subarus at the level where I could justify that. Once I finally get the shop built and go full time, I would probably invest in it then. But for now, it is not worth the money for me to invest in. When should a clutch on a 5-speed transmission Subaru replace? 2011 2.5i premium sedan. No rubbing or slipping yet. Just wondering. 5-speed manual and a 2011 2.5. A 2011 2.5 sedan should be a 6-speed manual. You run it till it starts slipping, basically. A good check to see the health of the transmission would be to get rolling about 20, 30 mile an hour, throw it in 5th or 6th gear, and floorboard it. It should bog if the RPMs raise up or you feel slippage. Your clutch is starting to go. Time to look for a new one. But if it bogs the engine, you're good. You still got plenty of grip in that clutch. Nothing to worry about yet. The nice man at O'Reilly emptied the whole can into my 2006 Outback 2.5 AC system. Now it's hot. Can you overfill? Yes, you absolutely can overfill. I didn't know that O'Reilly employees would put AC refrigerant in a customer's car. I figured that'd be some kind of lawsuit potential. I know most of them are barely wanting to put windshield wipers and batteries in cars now. What inner tie rods do I need for my 2001 Legacy GTB Blinson edition? We already talked about that, Jordan. After a head gasket replacement and new valves, was the correct starting sequence for the break-in, or do I even need to break in since it was just top-end rebuilt? There is no break-in procedure for a cylinder head. It's not like rings and bearings in the bottom end of an engine. So just doing a head gasket replacement, you can basically just drive it like normal after you get it together. Neil Lancaster, LOL, it's okay, you're behind. We are lucky someone will actually answer the questions we have. Hopefully I can get caught up here. Let's see, I'm at a question from 8 o'clock and it's 8:47. So I'm only 47 minutes behind, guys. Awesome channel subbed. Thank you, Dark Roast Lefty. API Cars. Check the plug wires on the 07 Forester. Needs OEM wires or else it randomly misfires once a month. Super chat from Irish Manic Hispanic. Already going over that one. Do you trust 6-star head gaskets? As I've said in my head gasket, tongue-tied. As I said in my head gasket video, I only use the Subaru MLS gaskets. We already know how I feel about Felpro. Pretty much on the same boat with 6-star. The only aftermarket gaskets I would use would be on turbocharged application, like a cosmetic head gasket or something along those lines. But I don't build turbo engines. My buddy Stuart at Shift Fast that builds 800, 900 horsepower Subarus. I basically go by his recommendations when it comes to turbocharged Subarus because he knows a thing or two because he's seen a thing or two. Don't sue me. Whatever hell company has that slogan. Subaru Company 2123 Subaru Enduro ball joint tool is the best. I didn't even know they had. Yeah, I did. I did know that they had one, but it's pretty much the same as the Astro and Snap-on version. They're all basically the same. Just bought the wife a 2020 Forester Sport. What do I need to look out for? Nothing. You're under warranty. Drive it. If you have an issue, take it to Subaru. I mean, there's not really anything to talk about for the 2020. They're so new. I know that there are some recalls out on them now, so just have that in mind, that you're going to be probably going to the dealership with some issues. But other than that, don't have much to comment on, guys. If you got a 2017, 2018 or newer, they really haven't been out enough to know if there's any common issues or things to look out for. That said, the engine, the F-Series engines have been out for quite a while. They did just recently, though, switch to direct fuel injection. So there's the issues that are associated with the direct fuel injection system that are coming up. Other than that, the CVT transmission is pretty much getting into its final form as far as tweaking it, where they're not seeing the issues they were back in 2012, 2011, around that age when they were first coming out. So, they've been out for a decade now. They started in 2010. It's 2020. We're going into model year 2021, so 11th year of CVT. So they're pretty much got it figured out. Nissan, on the other hand, they've been putting CVTs and stuff since like 2008 or 2007, and they're still garbage. I don't know what Nissan's doing, but their CVTs are still horrible today. Jeff, the 2014 Forester, why, if you are moving the shift from park to reverse or drive, is so rough? Is that proper? Okay, I guess, Jeff, you're talking to Jeff in the comments. What are some signs I need to replace my shocks other than leaking? The rubber at the top is starting to crack. If your top hats are cracking, it's time to replace them. Leaking is a sign. The old method was to start shaking the car and jump off and see if it stabilized within one rebound or if it took 2 or 3 before it stopped bouncing. That was another way to check shocks. Roundabout, as I've heard, 60,000 miles is supposed to be the service interval, replacement interval for shocks, struts. But they do function for longer than that. Normally, as you said, looking for leakage, see if one's busted. They definitely are rusty ball joints here with all the time. They definitely are rusty Subaru ball joints here I deal with all the time. I would imagine so out that way, CP. 159 viewers, only 64 thumbs up. Thanks, Larry. Everybody, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Your channel is getting busy. Keep it up, dude. Thank you. Bumble, jack up your Subaru and put 44-inch mutters. I don't think I got enough torque to turn 44-inch mutters. If you follow a guy, God, what is his name? I think it's Ryan. God, what's Ryan's name? He's got a 2000 to 2004 body BH chassis Outback that is lifted, and he has like close to 40-inch super swampers on it, but it is a freak. It's a 2.5, oddly enough, naturally aspirated. But he's got some like weird hybrid system of dual Toyota Tacoma transmission, manual transmissions, where he's got like a split gear system, where he's got like super low gear and stuff. Transfer case, he's got straight axles under it. He's got an XO cage on it. I think it's Ryan Reed, but I think he sold the car. I can't remember now. I haven't seen him post on Instagram in quite a while. But that's a really cool Outback. It's flat black, got a black XO cage on it. Really worth a look as far as off-roading Subaru. Subaru GL, I think it's the guy's name too, on Instagram. He's got a blue 2005 to 2009 chassis, and it's got humongous super swapper type tires on it. I don't remember if it's a straight axle swap or what he's got done to it, but it's a pretty cool one too. Now I think about it, no, his blue and silver two-tone is slammed. It's a silver and gold two-tone that's lifted. Replace if really rusted, leaking on the top hat is stripped. I guess that was about the struts. My engine idled a bit weird, but once I changed the air filter, it's moved out. That's pretty common if the air filter was getting clogged up. Hit those thumbs up. Thanks for the recommendation, motivation, CP. Brain fart, can't talk. After a head gasket replacement, new valves, what is the correct starting sequence or break-in? We already talked about that one. $10 super chart. Thank you again on that one. Irish, Manic, Hispanic, yes. APR cars, thank you. In my 2020 Impreza manual, they say it is expected for the car to consume 1 liter of oil every 4,000 miles. Why is that? Normally, a car consuming oil is not a good thing. What do you think? I covered this actually in the oil consumption video. This has never been a thing. Subaru acts like it's a thing. Their whole legitimizing the oil consumption issue, which it's not just Subaru. All major manufacturers are having oil consumption issues. If they're not having oil consumption issues, they're having oil dilution issues with gasoline getting into the oil, which is a far worse issue to have because the gasoline is a solvent and it will wipe out bearings. Honda is the main one, as far as I remember, that is having oil dilution issues with their direct fuel injection system, dumping too much fuel in. It's going past the rings and getting the oil. So Subaru tries to justify this in saying that oil changes used to be 3,000 miles. And the fact that we go 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 miles on synthetic is the reason why we didn't see the oil consumption before. Or if you weren't consuming any oil in 3,000 miles, you're not going to magically consume a liter or quart of oil in another 1,000 or 2,000 miles when you weren't in the first 3. That's the stupidest response to that. It's just Subaru trying to cover up the issue is all it boils down to. And the issue was, like I said, a culmination of things. The EPA is the main issue, trying to get friction down as low as possible in the engines using zero weight, 020 oil. It's going to be so thin that it's going to burn some more, using the lower tension lower tension rings on the pistons to reduce internal friction of the piston going up and down in the bore. Again, trying to free up fuel economy. So there's several factors that play into the oil consumption issues. And that's just Subaru trying to cover up the cover-up of trying their damnedest to make a boxer all-wheel drive engine get 30-some-odd miles to the gallon to appease the EPA and CAFE standards is what it boils down to. I had a model year 2014 Forester 2.5i CVT base that was built in February 13. Is it worth keeping it forever? That is a very open-ended, hard question to answer without any more information. Depends on what your mileage is now, what the mileage is you plan to drive, issues you've had with it, how much money you want to sink into it. There's tons of variables here, so really hard to answer. Oh, this manual 5. I think you asked the question about changing the gear oil at the Valvoline, right? Okay, yeah. At CP, do you know if this will be posted as a video? I am probably going to have this unlisted, and then I will maybe edit it and post it as a video highlights because we're at an hour and 18 minutes now. I don't know if I'll post it full length because a lot of times live streams, at least from my perspective, when I go back and watch people's live stream, if I'm not watching it live and not able to interact, sometimes it gets boring. You know, if there's not a clear topic, if you had a specific thing you wanted to know, it's a long way to swipe back and forth through the video to find information. If you don't track the car, you don't need an AOS. Pretty good advice there. I think that was in regard to the air oil separator on the 2020 STI. What are some alternator upgrade options for the H6? Need power stereo. We already talked about that. Can't remember the name of the company, but there is one that makes upgraded. Hello, Joshua. Let's see. Ooh, I'm almost an hour behind, guys. Sorry, I might have to skip forward a little bit. Hello, Mr. Subaru from Argentina with a compression check on cylinders. Is it enough to rule out problems in engine power loss? And thanks for a contribution worthy to follow. If you have really bad compression numbers, yes, it definitely can be an issue for power loss in the engine. Let me read this. With a compression check in cylinders, is it enough to rule out problems? I assume you're saying if you do a compression test, is it enough to say that an engine's healthy? No, not necessarily. I would argue that a cylinder leakage test is more crucial, more valuable, and gives more prudent information for the health of an engine because a compression test is only testing how much compression the cylinder will build when cranking. Cylinder leakage tester will tell you if you have issues with an intake valve, an exhaust valve, head gasket, rings, etc., and it can help pinpoint those issues with the test. So it gives you much more information, and it is a little bit more gives you more information than a compression test does, in my opinion. It's of the two, if you're going to measure cylinder leakage tester, I would rather have the information from cylinder leakage tester than just compression. Real quick, we got some super chats popping up. We got Keith Keller of $5. Thank you for that. John K with $5. Here, my wood contribution for the day. Thank you, man. He's building me a house 1 2x4 stud at a time. If you're not in the trade of carpentry construction and have not been keeping up over the last month, the price of lumber has doubled. 2x4 studs used to be about $2.15, and they're over $5 now. So we got a little running joke when he gives me a $5 super chat. He's buying me another 2x4 to build a wall in the house I'm renovating. Dylan Martin, been following the channel since buying my 04 LL Bean. Been doing a lot of work on it, and I appreciate your extensive videos on the H6 Outback. Well, thank you, Dylan. I appreciate your $10 super chat. It is much appreciated, sir. Let's see. Not sure we keep viewer video. Don't do some. Don't. Send it out to United Radio. Okay, so the radio will have to be sent out. Thank you, Jeff W. Thank you, sir. We already talked about that one. Always run a oil catch can. You'll be surprised how much crap is in there after 5,000 miles. That's true. I mean, any car, not just a Subaru. By the way, great channel. I appreciate your help. Thanks, Mr. Subaru. You are welcome. Bumble, please push through. Thumbs up. Thanks, Bumble, for that. Thanks. That didn't work. Ooh, Jeff W. Thanks. That didn't work. What were we talking about on that? Were you a super chatter question? I don't think so. Sorry, Jeff, I've lost my train of thought on what the precursor was of that. How many people got in here? We got 218 viewers. We're an hour and 20 minutes in. It is 9 o'clock. I'm probably going to get off here by 10 o'clock, guys. Starting to lose my voice already. Between filming this week, I kind of hurt myself, so talking isn't always the easiest task. Until I need to lay off for about a week and don't say anything to anyone and get healed up. What are your plans on the SVX? Eventually, once I get the shop built, because I'm not going to do it in the yard, I'm either going to pull the 4EAT and replace it with a 444 swap, which is the 444 final gear 4EAT out of an, what was it, 97, 98 Outback, I think, that had the 444. It gives it better acceleration, etc. If I'm keeping it automatic, if not, I'm going to do a 5 or 6 MT swap. Other than that, it needs a paint job. It needs the AC freshened up. Might pull the engine, freshen it up. And the back seat needs some upholstery work. But other than that, doesn't need a ton of stuff. Right now, transmission slips third and fourth, which is common. The original 4EAT was not stout enough to hold the power of the EG33 that came in the SVX. So transmission failure was common on the SVX. Subaru said, I'm outside of warranty. We'll replace for 700 bummer. Oh, okay. You were talking about the I can't remember exactly what it was. It's coming to me. Something about Subaru. I think I told you to call the hotline. I can look up the reboot and dealership mode on STIS if you want. Yeah, if you would API cars, that'd be great. The reboot and all for the what was it, 2015 Impreza head unit. Let's see. You know the same thing or reset. Oh, Jeff, I think you were talking about the head unit reset. Okay. Hey, Mr. Subaru, I've torn down my EJ 253 out of my 08 Legacy head gasket. Severe blow-by piston heads are significantly galling on them and need to be replaced. Any recommendations? I would recommend getting a short block from Subaru. I would not go ahead and have the machine work done on the short block you've got and rebuild it with pistons and rings and all that. By the time you do all that, the aggravation with it, and get it back together, you're not going to have any warranty on it anyway. It'll be yours once you do it. So if anything goes wrong, it'll be out of your pocket again. So for price and speed and having the peace of mind of the warranty from Subaru, I would get a EJ253 short block. Cap discharge on the radio, then send it out to United Radio. Okay. Is there a way to loosen and retort crank pulley? I think we talked about that without the tool. 09 Forester, 59,000 miles, only moving overseas from Puerto Rico to Florida. Should I ship it or sell it? Depends on how much it costs to ship it and what condition it's in. 59,000 miles, I would assume it's pretty well kept, but at the end of the day, that would be your decision to make. I really can't comment on that. Have you experienced a camshaft slightly harder to turn compared to the other on a dual overhead cam engine? Not that I can recollect, but not that it would be uncommon. It just depends on how. If it's just slightly more so, I wouldn't be too worried about it. But if it's a noticeable effort to turn one, that would be a little more concerning to me. I definitely would check the cam caps, the journals, and the lobes of the camshaft, see if there's something going on there, or there's some trash or something in there, something causing it to bind. Who are the two idiots who just liked? I got a good feeling I know who they are. 2007 Impreza MT. I'm assuming manual transmission. One from the rear or center of vehicle, 40 mile an hour. Stop under 40 mile an hour. And if I put in neutral. So coasting in neutral, you don't have a whine. You're only having a whine in gear. I would assume something in the transmission, front differential, center differential. Without seeing the car, more information, hard to tell from there. I would definitely, if it was me, put it on the lift, have someone run it, and take the stethoscope, go around the transmission case, listen to the drivetrain, the hanger bearing, carrier bearing on the prop shaft, rear differential, like that. It's way easier to find drivetrain sounds like that than, say, a chassis ear or just monkeying around the car while someone drives it, trying to listen, see where stuff's coming from. Once it warms up and I restart the car, the code generally goes away. Okay, that was on the car that had to get completely warm before it would drive, but we still don't know if it's lack of power or if it's the transmission slipping. I'm assuming it's lack of engine power, and if so, I would look at the oxygen sensor, see if it's contaminated, see if there's an issue there. If you've got a short in the wiring to the oxygen sensor, that might be your issue since you've got the oxygen sensor code. Love your channel. I have a 2014 Fozzie, and all of your Subaru tips are helpful. You are welcome, Lynn. Sorry. Glad I could be of help to you. Bumble, I would check to see what the selling price for the Subaru modeling year, Florida, and then decide, okay, on the shipment. Let's see if we can get caught up. We're at 8:11 on the chat. We're still an hour behind. This could be hard to catch up if answering everybody. 2015 Outback rear center floor jack up point location. Please comment. Book says to use rear diff to jack up. Seems crazy. Any thoughts? So rear jacking point is center of the rear differential. Put the jack pad under the center of the rear differential and jack up. That's the rear lifting point. He bought the meme gamer chair. I did not buy this. This is actually a freebie. The last shop I was in, the videos you saw in the wintertime, the shop I was working out of, the owner of that shop had this chair. It's not even, I think it's something off of Amazon, some cheapo one, but the arm broke on it or something, and he replaced it with another one. I said, if you're going to throw it in the dumpster, I'll take it. And I went to Home Depot, got two bolts, fixed the arm. So I replaced my old wore out computer chair for like $2 for the bolts. So also, when I try to move the car cold, the engine stutters, and boys, unless the floor to pedal at least 70% fall. Okay, that does sound like a engine performance issue, not so much a transmission issue. So definitely I would diagnose that PO, what was it, PO 134 you had for the Bank 1 sensor 1 oxygen sensor. Most likely that is the issue. You're having some kind of issue with the oxygen sensor, is either screwing up your fuel trims and bogging out, cutting power, leaning out the engine, something of that nature. Rear differential is correct. Really love the tour reviews. Keep them coming. I'm going to try to, as long as people will tolerate them. But it seems a lot of the growth of the channel has come from the tool videos, so I'm going to keep doing them. Diff, Subaru short block. Diff, I guess that's definitely Subaru short block for Neil. JP, you can get a crank pulley holder for bolts, break loose. Yep, talking about the holder tool. Oh, crap. Everything just jumped again, guys. All my comments done jumped again. Where are we at? Sorry, guys, if you get skipped. We're just going to pick up somewhere. But it just updated to like 8:45. So sorry, guys, that asked questions between 8 and 8:45 or 8:20 and 8:45. It's locked me out of scrolling back to those. So my 2013 Outback 36R hit 134,000 the other day, and after parking and putting on the parking brake all the way, the dash light came on and the park brake light was flashing. I drove it an hour, then they shut off. You park the car, you put the parking brake on. All of the dash lights came on, and the parking brake light was flashing. Did you drive with the parking brake light flashing or on solid? Normally it flashes if you're trying to turn the parking brake off with not pushing the brake pedal down, if I recall correctly. Or if there's an issue where the parking brake will not engage or disengage, it'll flash. So I guess if you're driving it, you didn't have issue with the parking brake hanging. So you might have an issue with your parking brake, electronic parking brake. Is the 5E AT less reliable than the 4E AT? I wouldn't say less reliable, but it seems to be more troublesome. I see a lot more issues, a lot more people complaining about the 5E AT than the 4E AT, definitely. Hola, amigo. Tengo Subaru Impreza GL 2.0 Tracciona Integral. Hello, friend. I have a Subaru Impreza GL 2.0. God, my Spanish is really horrible. Traction Integral. I did work with some Hispanic people for about 11 years at my first job, so I did pick up quite a bit of Spanish, but I'm very rusty on it because I don't use it a lot. So let me really quickly try to translate this and get back to what we were doing. Traction Integral. Stupid autocorrect. Traction. Okay, that's not translating right. I'm sorry. Brando, you might have to ask that again or translate it to English to ask it. I'm not getting a question out of here unless it's a statement of some sort. I just got a 2021 Crosstrack Limited and I want it to last as long as possible. What maintenance issues should I be looking for? Follow the factory service intervals and you should be good. Nothing I can tell you out of the ordinary for a brand spanking new 2021. Unfortunately, change your oil, change your diff fluid, coolant, all those good things. Spark plugs on time, air filters on time. Just stay on top of your maintenance. I swapped an EJ 205 non-AVCS on a 2002 WRX Wagon. Do I need a tune since these JDM engines have slightly higher compression? Anytime you do anything with the turbocharged engines, you basically need a tune, a dyno tune preferred. I'm not a big fan of access ports because a one size fits all tune is not how it works in the real world. Every single turbocharged EJ205 or EJ257 or whatever model engine has slight variance between them, and a dyno tune will pinpoint your exact engine and its needs compared to a box standard tune across a model year model line. So yeah, definitely a dyno tune would not hurt at all to get it dialed in. Follow-up question on the 5-speed transmission on my 2011 2.5i. Why do you think there is a 5-speed in it instead of a 6? I wanted a 6-speed put in when if the 5 fails. What are your thoughts? I'm just confused as how there's a 5-speed in it because I was pretty sure that 2010 and newers had 6-speed and this is 6-speed only. It should have been a 6-speed cable shift transmission. I've not seen a 5-speed in a 2011. My buddy's gold 2010 2.5i base was a 6-speed manual transmission, so I'm confused as why there's a 5-speed in it unless you're not in U.S. market. Maybe and it's a non-U.S. market thing. I'm not sure. I thought they were all 6-speed. Big Sixy, hey, I'm about to replace my subframe on 2010 Legacy 36R sedan. Do I need to pull engine? Any advice? Thank you. Changing your subframe. I guess you're up north and it rotted through. For the front subframe, if I recall correctly, I don't think those engines are bolted to the subframe like they were in the older chassis. They've got those weird side. I know on the 4-cylinder they've got those weird side-mounted engine mounts back near the bell housing on the transmission. They don't have the old pedestal ones that were on the subframe. I'm not actually sure. I know that the Cross V engine mount at the front on the 4-cylinders mounts to the cross member, but I don't remember on the 3.6 liter if they have that front mount or not. I think they've got a lower front mount. You might have to pull it. I wouldn't not fully pull it. A front wheel drive engine support bar, like on a Honda or Nissan or any other front wheel drive vehicle, is the bar that have the 2 feet that sit down across the shock towers that you chain the engine to if you're pulling the transmission. One of those you probably have to have, but necessarily pull the entire engine completely out of the car, you shouldn't have to. The Murder STI. Hello, Trollington. JE Pro Steel MLS head gaskets. I'm just kidding. Moderators don't block him. I know him. I'm just joking because he normally just leaves funny comments. He actually used to be up at Shift Fast that I was talking about earlier. Looking to replace my 2011 year. My reading skills are going. Looking to replace my 11-year-old Honda Odyssey and notice Subaru Ascent and Toyota Highlander have very similar interiors, especially in the second and third row layout and headroom. How much do they share? Honestly, I can't tell you because I don't know much of anything about the Toyotas. Toyota owns what, 20% share of Subaru now, or close to 20%. So, I mean, they are sharing stuff across the product lines, mainly the D4S system on the BRZ and GT86 model. There are timing components, things of that nature. I'm sure there's some modules from Toyota they're carrying over, but I'm not sure to the extent of what is shared, specifically on the Highlander and Ascent. 2002 WRX AC fuse keeps instantly blowing and my AC compressor won't engage. Any obvious ideas? I would say you've got a shorted AC compressor clutch, so probably need to go ahead and check that out. If it's instantly blowing, that's where I would be at. Either the clutch itself is shorted or your compressor is locked up, and when the clutch tries to engage, it's pulling so much current through to keep it engaged that it's blowing that fuse. So something likely wrong with your AC compressor clutch. I'm a happy 2007 V6 Honda Accord owner with 244,000 miles in Connecticut. Want to get a 2020 Impreza sedan sport. Never owned Subaru. Thoughts on long-term reliability of this vehicle? Hard to speculate long-term reliability on a brand spanking new car. If you get the 6MT manual transmission in it, you're not going to have to worry about CVT issues, obviously. That said, the TR580 is pretty well stout and reliable at this point. The FB, well, that would be, let's see, that'd be the FB20D direct fuel injected 2-liter in the Impreza. So there's the issues with valve carboning, but any new DI engine will have valve carboning issues. So as far as long-term reliability, the engine is pretty well, the F-Series is pretty well reliable. We haven't had the issues with the head gaskets and stuff. The EJs, they're a little more complex with the timing chains, and the EJ is not as friendly to service yourself. But, the only real concern would be the DI injection and valve carbon issues coming up. Subarus don't break. If they didn't, I would not have a channel. My dad got me a 99 Legacy 2.5 GT with 151,000 miles running strong. Should I worry about anything or ignore the haters? Worry about head gaskets that they've not been replaced. 99 2.5 should be an EJ25D. So internal head gasket failure. 151 though, it's likely that it's already been replaced, but hard to say. Other than that, not too terribly many common issues on that chassis. Mainly head gasket issue to worry about if it hadn't been addressed, and keep on top of the time belt if it hasn't been replaced. But at 151, that's way past due. Most of the big boys run JE Pro Seal over 500 horsepower. Yep, that's what Murder STI, I think, said a little bit ago. What is the correct ASIN part number for towing kit on a 98 Impreza Outback Sport? Mine has the newer tensioner, but I'm being recommended the 003, which has the old. Is that a 2.2 or 2.5 Outback? Should be the same kit. But I'll have to look up. I can't remember my ASIN numbers right now. It should be the same kit as like a 2000 and should be like the same kit as a 2000 Outback 2.5i. Do you know if the FB20D has carbon buildup issues? Absolutely. Every DI engine does right now, except for the D4S system cars with the port injectors. Should I raise the engine for spark plug replacement in 2015 Outback? There is absolutely no reason to. You do not need to touch engine mounts. You do not need to raise the engine. If you feel you need to, go ahead. Just be careful doing it. I know of a very recent story of a guy who was going to lift his engine to do spark plugs and put a hole in his oil pan and had to have it towed to the dealership to then pay them to replace the spark plugs and replace his oil pan. So just be careful when you do it. Don't jack it up too high. You can't really move it more than, say, an inch or two. You don't want to. There's a lot of other stuff to worry about, that's attached to it. So, do you listen to SoundCloud? I do not. Check out my SoundCloud. Worst job you've done on a Subaru? Probably the head gasket nightmare just a couple weeks ago. Not sure what that is about. Okay. Keep up the good work, Robert. Big fan of your channel. Thank you, Mr. Nobody. I really appreciate that. Where are you at? I need to find you real quick. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to find him in the chat over here. Good God, I'm so far behind. I'm sorry, guys. I just skipped forward an hour and I'm still behind. There we go. Here you go, Mr. Nobody. I'll give you a little upgrade. 2000 SF Fozzie, I assume, with a 2-inch top hat lift, trailing arm extensions, 215/70 R16 tires. When I turn right into a slight rise, there's a clunking noise from the right rear. Any ideas? There's a clunking noise when turning. I would assume CV axle. But it's hard to diagnose stuff with aftermarket lifts on them because that complicates the drivetrain and suspension. What oil should I run in my WRX? 5W30, and make sure it's in there. Check it and change it. Make sure we haven't had any super chats I'm behind on. 2013 Legacy Limited sits low for me. What they offer for lift kit? You could put Outback struts and springs on it, but aftermarket lift kits I don't know much about because I'm not buying them or lifting cars, so can't comment really on that too much. Hey John, glad to see you're still around. That was, God, I'm getting way behind again. Sorry guys, I'm trying to, let's see, coming up about 30 minutes left. Like I said, I'm going to try to jump off here at 10 o'clock, so it's 9:23 now. And we've been at an hour and 45 minutes. We've got about 200 people watching. And where are we at for... not seeing it. Oh, well. Not important. Mr. Subaru, my car went from not leaking anything to dumping coolant in my driveway. I saw both your videos on water pumps. Is that a common way for water pumps to fail? To dump water? Not really. You'll get water out of the weep hole on the water pump, but to dump water, if you're getting tons of coolant just pouring out, I would suspect a burst radiator hose, heater hose, or a cracked radiator. So really hard to point you in the right direction without seeing the car. Just get under there and look around, see what's wet. Should be pretty easy to find if it's that big of a leak. When should the first oil change be done on a brand new engine? Any suggestions for a break-in period? That is a can of worms I talked about in my first oil change for my 2019 WRX video, and got tons of everything from everybody on that. I was always told when I went through tech school that new engine, change the oil at 100 miles, 500 miles, 1,000 miles, 1,500, 3,000, 5,000, and 5,000 there. Everyone else says that's too excessive. Drive the car, vary the speeds you're driving it. Do not rev it past 2,000 or 3,000 RPM. Do not full throttle it. That stuff to get 3 to 5,000 miles on it. Just the normal kind of break-in stuff. Again, a lot of people say I'm stupid or way overboard with braking procedure, but it's just the way I was taught, so everyone's got a different opinion on it, so kind of pick and choose what way you want to go. And that's why I'm scared to get a new Civic. LOL. Oh, I guess that was about the oil dilution issues with the direct injection. I just bought a 99 2.5 Legacy GT station wagon with 99,000 miles. What should I service on it? And watch for if it's an automatic. Check transmission fluid. It should be time to replace that. You're due for a timing belt water pump component kit if it hadn't been done already at 90,000 miles. Coolant, oil, all your fluids, things of that nature. Spark plugs are due. Check your air filter. Just general maintenance things. Mostly visual inspections, not just go in there and just replace everything. Do a little due diligence and check the condition before throwing stuff at it. Thanks for content. Bought a Baja back in July. Runs great. Can you be hired for a lengthy conversation on said vehicle? Ways to contact Mr. Subaru1387 at gmail.com. Email me and we'll go from there. I drove to work with no leaks, walked out, puddle of coolant after work. Okay, that was about the coolant leak earlier. I got my electronic class in the morning. Good night, everyone, and keep being awesome, Mr. Subaru. Good night, API Cars. I'm sure you're already gone by now and probably didn't hear that, but thanks for hanging out with us. Welcome, new supporter, Damian Thompson. Thank you for being a channel supporter. Greatly appreciated. Crazy how my Porsches all came with a factory air oil separator and didn't use oil. My STI pushes oil at 55 PSI, but AOS kept it out of the intake. Help 2003 Forester making a whistling sound from the exhaust at higher RPM. Check the exhaust system, see if you've got any dents, dings, holes, things of that nature. Off the top of my head, nothing else is really jumping out at me for a whistling in the exhaust, especially for a regular in a Forester. Favorite flavor of vape juice? Do not vape. Do not smoke. Do not drink. Sorry, can't help you on that one. How much for a Subaru dealer to do an inspection before I buy a 2009 Forester? Cannot comment on that. Dealers charge different rates, different locations, so you just have to call the local dealership and ask them. Same, I appreciate the information relevant to LL Bean. Yep, that is a very popular vehicle. That's, in my opinion, one of the best cars Subaru ever made was the 2001 to 2004 LL Bean 3-liter Outback, but I'm biased, as you know. Have you ever used Tactrix Open Port 2.0 to diagnose? Planning to buy one because it's cheaper and have bad experience with the sub $500 scanner launch. Think Diag Alltel. I have no experience with that. Cannot comment on it, unfortunately. Sorry. 4 spark plug replacement in Subaru Outback 2015. Should have raised it. We already did that one. Can C0057 and can and C0045 trips. Codes trip P0700 and P20. P0700 and P2762 is normally the issue with the valve body and the solenoids on the CVT. C codes should be what? Communication code. Let's check that real quick. Much got, and that's right. pretty much got all of my P codes memorized, but C codes and B codes and things of that nature still need to check into. C0057 ECM control system. And what was the other? PO 0045. That is specifically refers to the camshaft cam timing. In this case, if the cam timing is over retarded, the engine will be illuminated and the code will be set. C0045 for a cam overtime? I thought that would be a P code. Crankshaft sentence for a signal, spark plug. Not sure. They sound like they're unrelated to the P codes for the transmission. But you would have to go through the flow chart and diagnose those issues separately and see if there's any correlation, but I would wager there's probably not a correlation. Yep, it does. What's your opinion on electronic throttle controllers on already dyno-tuned Subaru Forester XT 2011? I think it performs very well, but will it cause any damage? Electronic throttle controllers? What are you, like an interface harness between the gas pedal and the throttle body for like throttle lag or something? I'm not sure exactly what we're getting at here. Always run an oil what? I guess you're referring to the AOS, the air oil separator. My Subaru 2-liter R engine, when it get hot, it can't pass 5 RPM. When it cold, it don't what? When it get hot, it can't pass 5 RPM. I assume that's 5,000 RPM. If it wasn't passing 5 RPM, it wouldn't even crank over. Do you have any codes? Check engine light on. Any other prudent information to add to that? Always run an oil what? Again, AOS, I'm assuming is what you're talking about. Air oil separator. It is a baffled can that your PCV, your positive crankcase ventilation, goes into, and it separates, as it says, air from oil vapor and condenses the oil vapor into liquid oil and catches it so it does not blow back into the intake track of the engine. And instead, it holds it in the can and separates it from the air. So just bought a 99. We already talked about that one. Hi, what do you suggest? 2002 WRX with a mobilizer is playing up. I don't know. It happens a lot on this particular model. I haven't really had to deal with the immobilizer or security issues on that model, so I don't have much first-hand experience to really comment on somewhere to point you in a direction for a fix right offhand. Do you think Subaru will come out with a full electric vehicle? Most definitely. Everyone has basically, GM and Ford have committed by 2025. I think for GM and 2027 for Ford to be all electric. So everyone's going to have to pretty much get with it with electric vehicles at this point. I doubt, unless there's serious overhauls to the EPA, that internal combustion engines will continue to be a thing in the next 10 to 15 years. That is going to change a hell of a lot of infrastructure for the U.S. economy, as due to tons of the economy is ran off of the U.S. automobile. I mean, I think our economy is like 20, almost 30% car related, between gas stations, auto repair businesses, car dealerships, part stores, everything ties back to the car. So electric vehicles, you're not going to have Jiffy Lubes, Quick Lubes, all those places vanish overnight. You're not going to have fluids to change. Gas stations will vanish overnight, if not being swapped over into some kind of electro battery cell. Here's one of the things I think will have to happen in the future to make electric cars a thing that is viable. They were going to have to streamline all battery packs for all vehicles to be identical, kind of like OBD2 streamlined all the manufacturers' diagnostic port to be the same, and to use the same kind of communications to communicate to diagnose codes. So they're going to have a single solitary battery to run every single make, model electric car. what you would do when driving instead of having to worry about plugging in somewhere, supercharging, fast charging. I say this, but just recently, the new technology for batteries has changed this. This was my line of thinking was prior. To where you would pull up to a gas station, not technically a gas station, but basically you would have an attendant come out and swap your entire fuel cell, battery cell on your electric vehicle, kind of like an exchange of propane tanks. You would take your dead battery, put it into a bulk charging station, and give you a fully topped up battery, and you would be on your way in about the same time it would take to pump gas into a regular internal combustion engine car. I say that, but then Tesla and Elon Musk came out, I think, last week with their new technology for batteries that they're coming out with. Going to build a super factory where the batteries will charge in a fraction of the time. They've changed the makeup for the lithium-ion batteries. There's also solid-state batteries that are talked about that should charge in like no time at all. So battery technology is ever evolving. They're to the point where the electric car will be a very viable option. And, you know, the current electric cars are very rudimentary compared to what we will see in 5-10 years' time. The technology is just exponentially growing. So, yes, we will see an electric car from Subaru. I believe they've had some electric or plug-in hybrids at least in the past, if not a full electric prototype. So, it's coming. There's not much we can do to stop it. The world moves forward, and we get left in the dust if we don't adapt and come along, I guess. Not to say they're going to outlaw or rule out internal combustion engine cars. I'm sure in 40, 50 years, there will still be people driving gasoline-powered cars. They're not going to make everyone turn them in and crush them. Nothing like that. At least I don't foresee. So there's that. Okay. Thanks, Barry, for queuing him in on the air oil separator. Where are you at? I need to find you real quick. I think we got a super chat I need to look at really quickly too. Where are you at, Barry? There you are. And upgrade you. Hey, Mr. Subaru, I just recently bought 2006 WRX 2.0 Turbo with 127,000 miles. Any recommendations for the first service plus advice on maintaining the vehicle? My first boxer motor or engine all-wheel drive vehicle. 127,000 miles. Make sure the time belt service has been done. If not, you're overdue. Check all your fluid, filters, things of that nature, and give it a once over. See where you're at. Nothing too terribly different than maintaining a traditional non-boxer engine vehicle. Just get all the maintenance caught up and stay on top of it. Hi, Mr. Subaru. Mr. Subaru, help me up. Thank you, Mr. Subaru. Corey, where can I get one for 2005 Impreza? Several places sell air oil separators for Subarus online. Just Google Subaru air oil separator. Should be able to find it pretty easy. Same thing happened to me, except I drove across the country, Seattle to Miami. I think that was about the coolant leak. Hey, Mr. Subaru, what do you think about Scotty Kilmer? Let's not tonight, especially with only 20 minutes left of the stream left. It failed 3 months after that track. eBay. Yeah, we already covered that one. 2004 Forester SX, 105,000 mile engine, new valve covers, 2 new head gaskets, saw white soot on bumper light, smoke coming out of exhaust. Is that normal or should I take it to the mechanic? Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm reading way too fast and not comprehending things. 2 new head gaskets, saw white soot on bumper / light smoke. Okay, coming out of the exhaust. Is that normal? No. White soot. Possibly need to take it back to mechanic. Is it overheating on you? Are you seeing any leaks from the engine? Look underneath the engine. Being a 2004 EJ253, external leaks are more prevalent than internal leaks. But if you're getting white smoke, that would mean an internal leak. Coolant is getting in the combustion chamber. Not necessarily, depending on the temperature, ambient temperature, it could be condensation, so hard to tell. Possibly bring it up to their attention at the least. I just bought a 99. I think we already looked at that one. One is Kilmer. Not sure which one. F that guy. Think we were talking about that. Thanks for the videos. Got my water pump and time belt changed out today. Congratulations. My Subaru, when it be cold, it's normal. When it hot, it can't pass 5,500 RPM. What went wrong? Again, without more information than that, it's hard. Dadgummit, my chat's just jumped again. We do got a super chat address real quick. Another $5 from T. Parker. Thank you for that. O2 Legacy GT fog lights won't come on. New bulbs. In-cabin fuse replaced. Swapped AC relay with fog relay. Light is on for the button in the dash. What's next attack? Start at the failure of the component and work your way back to the battery is where I would advise. Are you having power at the fog light fuse? Are you getting power at the relay? Have you checked? Well, you swapped the relay, so obviously the relay is not the issue. Most likely it's the command control for the relay from the fog light button. Just because the fog light button is lighting up doesn't mean that it's putting power to the relay to activate the fog light. So check for power at the check for power at the pigtail for the actual bulb for the fog light. If you don't have it there, trace it on back up. You're going to have to get a wiring diagram, most likely be your best bet. But that's basically it. Check for power from the component that's not working and trace it all the way till you get back to the battery. You will find the issue somewhere between the two. And now we're way out. Okay, we'll start back here. Our new member, channel supporter. Again, thank you, Damian Thompson. Let's see. I truly envy those who can afford WRX STI. My dream would be to own a brand new STI in black if money were an object. Definitely the best way to own one is new, because then you know it wasn't beat on before you got it. I have a 2012 Outback 2.5, 265,000 kilometers on it. We found head gasket leaking when my mechanic replaced the spark plug. Should I go with engine swap or fixing head gasket? What is your advice for me? Depends on what the price of switching the engine, and it would just depend on the price. What's your estimate for the head gasket replacement and an estimate for the engine replacement? Also, is it a used engine, a reman engine? Several different factors to think about in deciding what you're going to do on that. Looking at a 2013 Outback, any concerns with the cat or oil consumption on that year? With the cat, there wasn't really any issues with the cat. Oil consumption, being a 2013, that should be the first year model of the FB25B. So oil consumption was an issue starting out in the F-Series engine, so there is a concern. Unless it was addressed under warranty and had a short block replaced and hasn't had an issue since. Hard to tell with the used engines, other than hoping for an honest answer from a private seller if you're buying private, or that's about all you can hope for, because the dealership won't know or wouldn't tell you if they did know. 2020 STI Limited. I'm doing oil change next week. If it's okay, if I'm going to put Mazda filter on it. The Mazda filter was for the was really for the F-Series engines. It does work on the EJs. I assume the 2020 is still running the little blue Fram filter. There is a black Tokyo Roki filter for it, but you will have to import it from Japan or the UK, if I remember right. I think the UK had the black filters too. For ease, a Wrx filter would be plenty fine to run on it. Wrx XP, instead of worrying about the Mazda filter or running the crappy factory Fram filter. Probably a cheaper option too. I just purchased a 2015 Legacy, 13,000 miles on it. What should I look out for? 2.5i High Premium Edition. That car probably sat a lot of its life. Probably owned by an older person. Just check your belts, hoses, things of that nature. Look for dry rot to tires. Freshen up your fluids. Other than that, not really anything to add to that. Gibberish. Change the oil in my 27 WRX every 30,000 miles. Okay. I use Felpro head gaskets on my 2009 2.5 NA. Was not aware of their bad rep. What can I do to expand its life and not have to replace it a year again? It's on there and it'll last till it fails again if it fails again. There's not much else to worry about. I mean, replacing your coolant every 3 years, 36,000 miles if you're running green, or every 80,000 miles if you're using blue. Make sure your battery terminals stay clean. We haven't talked about that, about the battery terminals and electrolysis and the issue with the head gaskets there. But I need to make a video talking about that. I did not mention that in the head gasket issue, head gasket video, if I remember right. But other than that, there's not really much you can do. Subaru WRX 2011, do you recommend upgrading fuel pressure regulator to aftermarket rising rate? Upgrading the fuel pressure regulator. Do not mess with your fuel pressure if it's stock. If you are building it for more power and need to change your fuel pressure, find you a competent tuner and let them mess with that. Don't just go out there and start jacking with your fuel pressure. Let's see. I just bought a Koyo Rad radiator for 06 Forester XT 4AT. Would you recommend a transmission cooler if plan on haul towing in future? If any recommendations, it should have a tranny cooler made into it. Should be better than the factory one. Should be a larger capacity since the radiator itself is larger capacity. I know I'm out of water. Hopefully I don't choke up in the next 15 minutes. But yeah, an external trans filter would always be a welcome upgrade, especially if you plan on towing, to keep the transmission cool. How far behind are we? About 20 minutes behind. I have a 93 JDM Legacy GT, 10,000 miles. Should replace all the vacuum lines regardless of condition. They're probably hard anyway at that point. So yeah, you should probably go ahead and start replacing them. But you know, if they're still pliable, no. But I find it hard to think that they would be pliable. They most likely are going to be hard and worn out and brittle and cracked. Or not cracked, but, you know, getting there. I have a 2002 WRX. While the car is cold, it stalls when RPMs drop. There's also multiple cylinder misfire. Are they typically related, and how would you diagnose this other than coil packs? Oh, the car is cold. It stalls when RPMs drop. I'm assuming like you mean the car's engine's cold, come into a stop, pushing the clutch, it drops down to idle and then stalls. There's also multiple misfire. I would diagnose the multiple misfire. They're probably connected. Check your spark plugs. Check compression. And check for fuel injection pulse. Anytime you've got a misfire, that's one of three reasons. For the cylinder fire, you need compression, you need spark, and you need fuel. Timed spark and timed fuel added to the cylinder. So anytime you got a misfire, it's usually one of the three. It could be issues with sensors that control those three, but start with spark plugs, work your way back. Check condition of them, check the gap, and go from there. Love all your videos. You have helped me a few times with 07 WRX shitbox. Glad I could be of help. Sounds like you have allergies. I have horrible allergies year round. I'm allergic to everything. I'm allergic to the beauty of growing up in the South on a farm. Allergic to every single grass, every single grass, tree, pollen, mold. I'm allergic to dogs, cats, and rabbits. So yeah, I'm pretty much medicated most of the time just to be able to breathe out of my nose. Most of the time my nose is just for decoration. I can't breathe out it nor smell. But yeah, allergies suck. Having a little bit of a reaction today. I actually vacuumed the house yesterday, and that probably triggered me a little bit, getting the dust and cat hair up. Hi, I'm looking into a 2015 Subaru 2.5 Legacy Outback Impreza. What should I be concerned about? Head gasket issues. 2015 is an FB 25B, there are no head gasket issues so far on the FB series engines. That was an EJ problem that ended in 2012 on the Outback Legacy, 2010 on the Forester, and Impreza, I think it was 2011, 2012. So any 2015 Subaru, you shouldn't have to worry about a head gasket issue. Part number is, that's the Mazda filter, I'm assuming. That looks like a Mazda part number. Mr. Subaru from Brazil, thanks for all you've taught. I have Impreza GT Turbo. You are welcome. I think we've got some super chats coming through. Let's see. Click on these real quick. Sorry, guys, I'm going to have to swap around a little bit. Brandon, your thoughts on the JDM EJ201 swap on an E2002 Forester AT? Also, any good mods for power reliability? I've never done this swap. The Forester I bought in February, March this year had the swap done to it. As far as I know, it's pretty much a drop-in. You just change your EJ25 intake and sensors onto the EJ20. As far as power mods, there's not really much way to make a naturally aspirated Subaru faster. So not really worth the money to try with exhaust and intake and that stuff. So if you want power, go get a turbocharged WRX, STI, Outback XT, Forester XT, or get an H6 equipped Legacy or Outback. And that's basically the best way to get more power out of your Subaru. But thanks again, Brandon, for the $5. Greatly appreciated that. And we've got from Breakfast Meat, thanks from new first-time Subaru owner. Is it possible to clean the engine base safely? Manual says no, but dealerships do it, and I've seen videos. Yes, it is possible. Can I tell you from experience? No, because I do not care enough to clean engine bays. I have seen several videos on YouTube. You just have to be very careful not to wet your alternator, electronic components, wiring harness, things of that nature. It's pretty time-consuming, and it is possible. I don't have a video on it. I was thinking about maybe making a video on it, but I don't know. We'll see. Having my camera equipment around water and soap and spraying, I don't know if I want to do that. So, but yeah, it is possible. But you just have to be very careful around your electronic components and wiring harness. Thank you, Breakfast Meat, for the $5 super chat. Greatly appreciated. Let's see, where are we at? Oh, thank you, Breakfast Meat, as well, for becoming a new channel supporter. Greatly appreciate that. Starry eyes. Let's see. Let's get back a little bit. Sorry, guys. Gonna have to skip a little bit more. We've only got about 8 minutes left. As I said, I'm going to end the stream here at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard. So we got about 8 minutes. So I'm going to try to get the last couple questions in. Sorry if I don't get your questions, guys. We got what, 200 viewers in here, close about. We've had around 200 all night. So tried to answer as much as I can, but again, voice is starting to get a little hoarse from talking, so trying to get you guys rounded out and close out the live stream. So we got CP, hashtag CP is a tool. Guys, please go and see the lame drama post. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to skip over you, sorry. 2011 Legacy 2.5i, 100,000 kilometers, power steering pump goes weak. Is OEM part replacement a must? Pretty much on the power steering pump. I don't like using aftermarket power steering pumps. I would check, one, the fluid level, condition, check your suction hose, make sure it's not hard, check the O-ring, make sure it's not sucking air before going through and replacing the pump. 2005 3.0R, 200,000 miles, 420 code. Could loose gas cap has something to do with this? No. PO420 is catalyst inefficiency. So you either have an issue with oxygen sensor contamination or a failing catalytic converter. That's basically the only two things that would have to do with the 420 code. A loose gas cap will give you an evap code, different system than the catalyst. Would any problems be encountered if I changed all the bulbs out to LEDs on 2019 Crosstrack? Yes, you can have issues. I saw recently issues with LEDs being added to a 18 or 19 Outback, and it screwed up something in the body control module. The body control module is expecting to see the resistance from an incandescent bulb, not an LED bulb. So if the LED bulb is not doesn't have the proper resistors to give the same resistance as an incandescent bulb, it can cause all kind of haywire issues. If Enduro Subaru is still in here, hopefully you can pipe in on that. I know API Cars has already left, but there are issues with switching to LED, especially for like turn signal, things of that nature. Interior lights, not so much. You shouldn't have issue changing out your map lights, dome light like that for LEDs, but the other stuff, be wary about doing. Your channel is awesome. I hit the like at the beginning of every video. Thank you so much, Conrod. Greatly appreciated. How many miles should I change the tires? 2019 Outback. Change tires. Change tires when they are to the wear point that they need to be replaced. There's not a set time or mileage. It's just when you get down to replacement tread depth, depending on what tires are on your car now. I assume still the factory set being a 2019. Is it true that Subaru engines are purposely built to looser tolerances for fuel economy, which makes them burn oil from newer design? Not so much looser tolerances to a degree, but lower tension springs are part of it. But yeah, kind of the same deal. It's trying to reduce internal friction in the engine to up the fuel economy of the Boxer with a CVT and all-wheel drive. How often do you do live stream? Lots of questions. This was the first one, actually. Like this, I've done taped Q&As before, but this is the first live stream. Hopefully, like I said at the beginning, do some more of these and make it a regular thing, maybe once a week. More like once a month. Probably not once a week. That'd be maybe a little excessive, but definitely want to do more. Dropped a new J-pipe in 20 WRX. Got light smoke after. Could it be WD-40 burning off? Sprayed quite a bit on there. Normally, anytime you get aftermarket exhaust parts, they've got some light oil inside from machining and shipping, so it doesn't rust. So it's probably just that oil burning out of the J-pipe. I would caution you for doing quite a bit of modification to a new 2020. But it is your car and your money, so I can't say too much. I think we've already talked about this one, breakfast meat. Yeah, yes. I'll get back. Oh, dang it, the chat just jumped again. Okay, we got 3 minutes left, guys. Sorry, y'all that got skipped. We're gonna answer, I think, 3 more questions here, and then I will close out and tell you guys good night, because it's time to get a shower and get in bed, finish my laundry up. Gotta go work on the Habitat for Humanity house in the morning. I'm at 200,000 right now. I've been parked for years, still runs great. Many years took care of it, hoping to make 300,000 before it got old style car looking. Excuse me. Love your channel. Question 2005 EJ251. Recently, the car from a cold start, RPM start up and drop, sometimes made low to stall. Can restart okay. Normal when warm. Okay. Just initiate start. Thoughts. Did I read that right? A little confusing there. Any codes? 2004, most likely. 2004 should be an EJ253. Maybe IAC is dirty. Maybe the throttle body is dirty. Probably start there. From there, hard to say. Probably throttle body and IAC, idle air control, valve cleaning needed. Most likely a good place to start. Have you ever had an issue with self-leveling, self-height adjusting 2003 Forester all-weather? I cannot say that I have. Not had any experience with that either. Self-leveling, self-height adjusting. I think that was a non-U.S. market thing. I might be wrong, but I don't recall any 2003 Foresters having that feature that I've worked on. Hey, Courtney, how you doing? I need to find you real quick. And shaboom. Once a month, pretty good interval. I think so too. I think once a month would be good. Weekly be a little bit excessive, probably. All right. It is 9:59. This will be the last question, and I'm gonna have to say good night, guys. Again, the voice is giving out on me, and got some things to take care of before bedtime. 2014 WRX 70,000 miles, stuttering after shifting gears, acceleration from 2K to 2,500 RPM, changed the plugs, coils, and MAF. Do we have a code, or is that all we've got to go on? Check for intake, vacuum leaks, boost leaks, things of that nature. Other than that, kind of hard to go on without more information, without seeing the car. How bad is the stuttering? Is it like misfiring, breaking up, or you getting checking flashing check engine light, like a severe misfire, or is it just stumble, dropping fuel pressure? I mean, there could be several things. Hard to go from there. So, guys, that'll do it for tonight's live stream. Sorry if I did not get to your question. Again, I was about an hour behind basically the entire time trying to get questions read and answered. Maybe you should cut the answers down a little bit, not get so specific, because it does take up quite a bit of time to answer each question, usually that needs any kind of technical explanation or bigger talking. Sorry, my brain's fried at this point. I need to try to streamline answering the questions, not get so technical maybe, and answer them a little more broadly. But yeah, what we got, 164 people in the stream right now, 147 actually dropped down, 224 likes. Thank you everyone that tuned in tonight for the first live stream Q&A. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us, asking your questions. Thank you to moderators for keeping things going well in the chat. And thank you again to all of you for helping me get to 70,000 subscribers and beyond. If you haven't seen yesterday's video, go check that out for how to enter to win the first prize in the giveaway, which is the Vessel 2020 Limited Gold Screwdriver Set. We're also going to be giving away I'm talking about me, myself, and I. I'm also going to be giving away the silver set. I announced that in another video. The Pearl White set, the Koken Z Series 3/8 ratchet. There are two other items. Subaru. Amazon Japan just sent me an email saying they shipped out, so I should have them, I think, Tuesday. But it's some little Tone keychains that are actual Tone 10mm wrenches cut down. Thought it was a cool little thing. So going to be giving away two of those. And trying to think. I think that's basically everything. I'm sure brain's fried at this point. But yeah, try to get some stuff away to you guys. I know some people have asked about giveaways and things of that nature. So trying to do some giveaways. As I said, the Milwaukee stuff, probably going to wait till 100K to give that away because of the expense of it. Milwaukee, of course, did not send that to me. They don't even talk to me. That was a high torque 1/2-inch gun I bought myself, and a mid torque 3/8 gun I bought myself on a deal from Home Depot. So holding that probably to give away at a later date, maybe 80, 90,000 K. I'll do one, and then the other one maybe the 1/2-inch high torque at 100,000 K, and maybe the mid torque 3/8 at 90,000 K, something like that. I don't know. Maybe not make you wait that long, but hopefully if we push and share and like and comment and all that good stuff, maybe we do have a chance of getting 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, but who knows. So, guys, that's it. Thank you all again for hanging out. Thank you for asking your questions and supporting the channel. And had a good time. And hopefully we can do it again sometime. Good night, all. And hope you have a good week coming up. See y'all.